With respect to the Jews of Jesus' time, the point that I essentially wanted to make was that Jesus' family, immediate family, which is to say Mary and Joseph, Jesus himself, the cousin of Mary whose name was Elizabeth. Elizabeth's husband Zechariah was not Essene, but all those plus John the Baptist were of the Essene variety, the subtype of Essenes that believed in marriage. Essene means expectancy. They were expecting the Messiah, their Savior. And, that's important, that's a distinction that has not heretofore been made indelibly clear by the vast majority of scholars in the last 2 millennia. And so I elucidate a number of bullet points with respect to that.
Just a few examples of how Jesus, Mary, Joseph, Elizabeth, John the Baptist were the married couple type of Essene Jew. Elizabeth went into the hill country of Judea when pregnant with John the Baptist. This living apart during pregnancy is a practice unique to the married type of Essenes. Mary and Joseph illustrate the married couple type of Essene practice of trying their spouses for 3 years before marrying. Mary, Joseph, Elizabeth, John the Baptist were all expecting the Messiah, their Savior. Essene means expectancy. Jesus illustrates the Essene practice of communal property when he gives directions on where to find the tethered colt and what to tell the owner, i.e., who was expecting the Messiah. Jesus exhibits the Essene custom of minimal personal property and clothing. Jesus exhibits the Essene attitude towards taking personal oaths, evident in his discourse with Pharisees. Jesus' criticism of the Pharisees is understandable when you realize he was raised amidst the practices, belief system unique to the Essenes. Married type and celibate male type of Essenes had the same belief system. The reason Jesus criticized the conservative Pharisees is that they were the most educated and powerful. He never criticizes the more liberal Sadducees, even though the Sadducees denied the resurrection of the body. This is the married couple type of Essene that Jesus, Mary, Joseph, Elizabeth, John the Baptist were excerpted from the Wars of the Jews 2.82.12-14 Flavius Josephus. Moreover, there is another order of Essenes, who agree with the rest as to their way of living, and customs, and laws, but differ from them in the point of marriage, as thinking that by not marrying they cut off the principal part of human life, which is the prospect of succession. Nay, rather, that if all men should be of the same opinion, the whole race of mankind would fail. However, they try their spouses for 3 years, and if they find that they have their natural purgations thrice, as trials that they are likely to be fruitful, they then actually marry them. But they do not use to accompany with their wives when they are with child, as a demonstration that they do not marry out of regard to pleasure, but for the sake of posterity. Now the women go into the baths with some of their garments on, as the men do with somewhat girded about them. And these are the customs of this order of Essenes.
What's more, there's evidence in the discourse of Jesus with the Pharisee Nicodemus that Jesus was knowledgeable, that the Pharisee sect was perhaps the most educated. And so when Nicodemus was ostensibly ignorant of the concept of reincarnation, that was the passage related to Jesus saying the wind blows where it will, but that's a blatant reference to reincarnation, which Flavius Josephus wrote the Pharisees believed in. And so Jesus was essentially holding Nicodemus accountable for what he was supposed to know as a Pharisee, and what the Pharisees believed in. That's what Flavius Josephus talked about, which is blatant reference to reincarnation. But Christianity didn't come from the Pharisees. Christianity came from the Essenes. The Essenes, the more austere, the holiest sect. And so they tried to live like perfect lives, basically, so they could get to what Christians call heaven. But Christianity itself didn't originate until it was transplanted to the pagans, to the Gentiles, because Paul had determined that they didn't need to convert to Judaism anymore. So, up until that point, it was all Judaism. Messianic Judaism essentially, and particularly of the Essene sect, with Essene subtypes married and celibate male. And so with respect to the celibate male you see what later became Catholic religious orders, most notably in terms of structural identicality. You see that with some monastic Catholic religious orders. But, all the same, that's many years later. The important point is that Christianity came specifically from the Essene Jews, and that Jesus' immediate family, Mary, Joseph, Mary's cousin Elizabeth, Elizabeth's son John the Baptist, were all seen as was Jesus Christ. So, you see why he criticized the Pharisees so much, because they were the powerful, they were the conservative, they knew better essentially. And, so that's essentially what he's criticizing. He never criticized the more liberal Sadducees even though they denied the resurrection. Because Jesus only criticized those in power, those who should have known better, those who were so educated that they should have known better. And that he was proceeding forth from the standpoint of an Essene Jew, because that was the cultural milieu in which he was raised.